Did you guys see the little cheeses that Mom brought us from Oaxaca?
They're my favorite. Dude.
How cute.
They're little quesillos.
I don't like quesillo, but it looks cute.
I don't like quesillo either. That's the only quesillo that I will eat, though.
The flavor is like tamed in the little portions.
Also, I have to look at the camera for this one. It's quesillo, not queso Oaxaca.
Yes.
It bothers me so much
Me
when I
too.
see, like, at the grocery store, like, queso Oaxaca.
For editing, Ricardo, if you can zoom in on this. They're little itty bitty quesillos.
I might not
okay.
finish it.
That's okay.
It is, I will say it is an overwhelming taste. Because it can get, like, really salty.
You know what? This one's not.
Es por la
not
leche,
too-
no?
I don't know how they make it, but...
I think the smell bothers me.
But that one's good because it's like little.
But
Speaking of Oaxaca.
speaking of Oaxaca, our moms went on a girls' trip to Huatulco, and then they went to Tlacolula. But I love how they came back, just like super excited to tell us about the trip, everything they did.
Not just that, like they were texting us pictures the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at work and then they sent me a picture of them like on a boat on the beach and I was like, oh.
They went up a waterfall, the thing with the waterfall.
Yeah.
They walked
it
like
looked-
this little thing, right?
Mm-hmm. I was looking at the pictures. It looked so much fun, but I was like, the time that us three went to PVR, I kept sending my mom stuff, and my mom was like, "Man, you're having so much fun." And then I was like, "Yeah, whatever, like living our best lives right now."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "That's how I felt." Like it was like the other way around because I
Did
was
we
like,
like
"Yeah,
low
she's-
key inspire them? No.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think.
Well, they
saw how
want to do
much-
another trip. They said that they're planning their next one to PVR.
Yeah.
Oh my god, can we go with them? No, huh?
That's what we were saying. We were like, because your mom even said like they can do like the loca stuff and then we'll do the señora stuff after. I was like, I'm still gonna do the señora
You guys
stuff.
want to go back to that club? And he's like, no. I had a seizure.
I'll take my glasses
Strobe
again.
lights.
Dude, that time was really hard
Would
for
you
me.
do bottle service with your mom? Because I totally would.
My mom will drink a few though, yeah.
Mom would like those mango shots.
She would like the mango shots. I feel like they would be like, no, we don't want to go there. I mean, we could ask them, but I just feel like they.
If we go, we should go to like somewhere that plays like Spanish music, like
Yeah.
cumbia type of vibe. I feel like that will be more of their.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tropical. Yes.
Yeah.
But what's our topic today, guys? Well, first of all, Annie's back.
Yeah.
Oh, yay! Annie!
Yay!
I'm so happy. I was so excited.
The trio is back together and we can
Finally.
keep recording.
After a month, I think it's gonna be like a month and a few days. I think I
So
left
it's
on
been
like
over
the
a month
7th.
since we've had the podcast too.
Yeah.
And we want to take this time to thank everybody for the ongoing support, the feedback we've been getting.
The feedback.
We have to ask whoever has told us if it's okay to share, but just I think both of us, the three of us, because we got two of you, so I said both. The three of us were just so scared to do this at first because we were like, well, who's gonna listen? And we were actually like pretty surprised to see who listens, who supports us, and just that like enthusiasm that
I think
people
if I
have.
wasn't so like socially awkward, because again, the people that have been listening for me, it's like the people, not that I didn't expect them and I didn't think they would listen, but just like I didn't think they would listen.
Yeah.
So like them giving me feedback literally since I've been back. I've hung out with a few friends and the first thing that they bring up is the podcast and like such amazing feedback. Like, oh my God, I had the same thing going on, or I could relate to your cousin and this and that. And they just feel so seen. And I'm just like I want to cry. Like when, like, again, if I wasn't so socially awkward, I'd probably say a lot more, but there's just like, I'm so thankful and it means so much. Or like how the other day you're like, you have a fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, ah.
The grief episode. Sorry.
Yeah.
The grief episode. And okay, we've been getting a lot of requests for a Spanish version of the grief episode.
A
So we
Spanish
are gonna
episode
do
in
it.
general.
Yes.
Which is coming.
It is.
Mhm.
Annie's here for a week, so we're going to record as much as possible.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure out the next
I
week.
think it helps that I'm actually spending the night here because we can probably do some like
Brainstorming too.
brainstorming, recording at night stuff. But it's been good to be back home, and it's good to be back home again, if it makes sense. Like,
Yes.
that's what I was saying on my day in the life, where it's like I stuttered when I said I live in, and I was just like, wait, where do I live? Like, I'm everywhere.
I think your day in the life yesterday when you were like, I've been going through a rough patch
like,
since I was born.
I literally paused you. I paused because I was trying to think, like, pinpoint, like, since when, and then I was like, wait, it's been hard since I was born. Like,
it's funny. My day in the life didn't go too well because it was.
It's okay. At least you did it.
I know.
I forgot to do my.
I was talking to my mom yesterday on the way to the airport because I recorded when I was there. I was like, oh shit, I'm still doing the day in the life. I was explaining to my mom that we were doing the day in the life, and I was like, you know what? Nancy was supposed to do hers yesterday, and I don't even think she did it. I was like, it's literally just been me because you couldn't do yours, and then I don't know, you just didn't do yours for whatever reason.
Just forgot.
And then I was like,
Mondays are just so hard to do anything, but like, I have to wake up and I'm like, 10 hours at work today.
fuck.
Yeah, Mondays are fun.
Yeah, Mondays are
Mondays.
Mondays.
I might have a schedule change in the next few months, though. I'm really hoping so. So if that happens,
Hopefully.
I'll work from home on Mondays. And then, because right now my day off is Wednesday. Work in the office Tuesday, Wednesday. Work from home Thursday. And then off Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I actually really enjoy working on Mondays somewhere because I get to commute with Pablo. We were just talking about that. That kind of feels like our time off.
Well, the time you guys get to spend together without the kids, maybe.
Yeah. But okay, topic today, guys.
Novelas and toxic relationships. The influence that novelas have had in our...
I used to love, but notice how I said used to. One, because it's an hour every day for like months on end.
Yes.
Dude, like...
Novelas take up a lot of time.
Maybe my attention span's a lot shorter now, but I just can't do like novelas, like dedicate my time like that before.
Yeah.
Like I used to before.
I think it was easier back then because we didn't have responsibilities. I think our prime of us watching novelas was definitely our childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, our grandma was a big influence for us in novelas because I would watch more novelas than cartoons. I would watch cartoons when the cousins would all come over to the house, but Monday to Friday, it was me and grandma novelas from morning till like evening. Because novelas start around like what, noon?
Yes, there was Casos de la Vida Real.
Oh
And
my
I
god, I
watched
was
that one.
obsessed with that one.
That
And
one came
then-
out later, so I don't think I got to watch that.
And then,
But I remember Ojetas de Color de Rosa. Do you guys remember that one?
No. So
no.
I know it was like
No.
Casa de la Vida Real, and there was a 4 o'clock. Oh no! So you know what our parents started doing? I don't know if I think at your house you guys would do it too.
Record?
Not record, but they signed up for the cable package that gave them the East Coast timing of
yes.
Univision. So they started watching the novelas at 4, 5, and 6.
Because they would work.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
Grandma would watch it at 4, 5, and 6, and then she would watch it the West Coast release, which was 7, 8, and 9. And my favorite thing about Grandma though is like she would still be surprised like when something happened.
Yeah. She would get so invested to the point where there was times where she would start talking out of nowhere. I don't know if you guys remember. Grandma used to just like, fíjate que tal y tal empezó a hacer esto, and then I'd be like, wait, who? And I used to think that it'd be somebody in the family, and the whole time it was like a novela person. Like, yeah, and it just, I would be so shocked every time when I was just like, wait, this is a novela? Like, you're not talking about real people? Because she would just straight up talk about it, like, if it was a real person. She'd be so invested. She'd be mad and angry, and
She went through all of the like emotions that those poor girls in the novelas had to go through.
So speaking of the emotions, what type of effects do you guys think the novelas had on you guys?
I think false expectations on relationships and just of how life goes. Because obviously in every novela, you start with like...
The damsel in distress.
Yeah. And then it's just like throughout it, it's just like a big issue. And most of the time it was an issue with the boyfriend, an issue with the parent. There was a bad guy, there was a good guys, and there was like people that were stuck in between.
Yeah.
But at the end of the novela, se casaban. They would
She
have
would faint.
kids. Yeah.
She would faint because she was pregnant.
Yeah. And
it always ends the same.
It always ended good. You know, it was always a good ending. And I think that's kind of where it messed me up. Same thing with Disney movies. I was like, how dare you guys give me false expectations of a happily ever after?
I don't know if mine is exactly false expectations, but for me, I think it painted what I thought a relationship should look like. So a lot in the novelas, you know, there would be like the main girl and the main guy, they'd be arguing and he'd be like aggressive and extremely jealous. And like, I thought, like, I grew up and I actually thought that was what was a normal thing. Like, oh, that's how I know someone loves me, because they're jealous, they don't let me do stuff or anything like that. And like, that's not how it's supposed to be.
I think we romanticize that.
Yeah, like the abuse. I don't know. What do you think, Liz?
I don't know. I feel like novelas didn't affect me in that way, but it did a little bit in the false expectations, where I thought that the first person that I met was the one that I was supposed to stay with.
Mm-hmm.
But a ver. So I watched novelas until like I was much older than you guys too, because I think you guys let it go a lot sooner than I did. So and actually,
you still watch them, Lizzie?
I still watch them. Like, there's a novela that's happening in Mexico right now that I'm watching on TikTok.
On TikTok?
Yeah, and like I told my tia Flor about it, and then she was like, "Ya va a salir la novela que te gusta." And I was like, "Yes," but I'm probably not gonna. But like, I liked it on TikTok because, okay, this is what happened when I had the kids. I realized, like, the minute they started crawling, I was like, yeah, I can't do this. Like, I stopped watching football, I stopped watching novelas, and I just like focus on my kids. But novelas was still, for me, something that I was like, oh, like, I actually enjoyed, like, talking to mom about it, like, talking, like, it was like my cafecito time. Yes. So I didn't see novelas like that. So I like getting to know this perspective of it, because I never really thought about it that way.
I think me and Nancy are just hopeless romantics, though. I feel like we've always been that way. Like, I think that's why we were so obsessed with Twilight, because we were like, when is that gonna happen?
I love Twilight, though. Yes, we watched it because of you.
Yeah,
I was so mad.
She wanted to watch Marley and Me. Yeah. and then I came back like the summer after, and she's like, I read all the books already.
She did. She would be up till like 3 a.m. with her little light. But a little bit going back to the one that you said, I think the one that affected me a little bit more was, like, I love Disneyland, I love all things Disney, but I didn't realize that Disney did play a big part in what a lot of people thought, and I didn't realize it until, like, you know, the evil stepmother.
Yes,
we have a lot of cousins, nieces, and nephews that when they realized that I was a stepmom, they were like, are you evil? Are you mean? Which actually, like, your nephew.
Yeah.
We were FaceTiming him one day. I think I told you, right?
Yeah.
We were FaceTiming him one day. And he was like, where's Penny? And I was like, oh, she's at home with her mom. And he was like, her mom? I was like, yeah, she has her mom and I'm her stepmom. And he's like, but you're not mean. I was like,
you're not an evil stepmother.
Disney. Yeah, thanks, Disney. But
evil
still,
stepmothers.
I still love going to Disney then.
I think it's that whole, like, love at first sight of novelas too, because you said that I thought the first person that I met was because in novelas, that's literally how the woman would meet someone, and then, like, they were like, oh, I'm so in love, and then at the end of the novela they would end up together. And they would marry each other.
Even though, like, the guy was a piece of shit. Like, and it's like my biggest thing about novelas that I hated was when they would be together and then they'd break up and the guy would have a kid with someone else and then they'd get back together, and because, like, the mom of the first kid, like, died.
Or they would cheat or
something.
And then they'd be like, I promise to never do it again. And then they would, like, be happily ever after. You know what I mean? That shit was crazy. Yeah. It makes sense now.
But in talking about your relationships, you said it made you think that it was supposed to be a certain way.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind sharing, did you have relationship, like a toxic relationship, where you were in that situation and you're just like, but this is what it's supposed to look like?
Yeah, and definitely, like, my relationship when I was a teenager, I used to think, and then even like the ones after that, like I thought that like the intense arguing and like bickering was something that was normal, that showed that like, oh, like no, like it's because they're like fighting and like, you know, to stay together to maintain the relationship. But in reality, like no, they were just fucking assholes. Like, why are you yelling?
It shows that they cared.
It showed that they cared, and, you know, it shows that they love me. But it was just like, you know, it took me years, and I think I even mentioned this in an episode before, when like in the toxic relation familia tóxica episode, where I think you said, or I don't know, somebody said that it, when I like cut people off when they're like toxic or something, and I was like, I don't know how you notice that so quickly, because for me it takes me like years to figure out like someone's being hella toxic to me. And that's the situation I ended up in, where like these people were showing their red flags since the very beginning.
I'm gonna pause you real quick, because I remember we had when you had a single moment era, like a I'm single era, and then you were like, I feel like this is a red flag, and Honey was like, yeah, but we're colorblind.
Oh yeah.
Dude, okay.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, but we're colorblind. Literally, I did say that.
Yeah. Have you guys seen that lady? I think she works like at the post office, and she makes these TikToks, and she stitches these videos of people like saying phrases, and then it's her after, and she gets like a piece of paper, and she's just like, wow, your mama and I were wilder than 2 spoons in the dishwasher.
I've never seen
And I feel like that's us, when it's just like, red flags, but we're colorblind. Like,
yeah. Definitely.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's
you
okay.
said red flag, and I had to say it.
Yeah. Also, I think my age, like, I don't know what, you know, I don't also, like, I don't want to say this is the reason why, but, like, my parents never really sat me down and talked to me about, like, what an abusive relationship was. You know, like, a lot of us can consider abusive relationship, like, physical, but, like, it can be way more than that. It can be emotional. And, like, I didn't know that the things are being told to me were abuse, I guess. Yeah. Well, no, not I guess. That they were. And so, like, I was just like, well, in the novelas, like, they argue like that. Well, in the movies, like, it's always, like, a passionate argument, and then, like, everything works out. So this is normal. It's how it's supposed to be. But when in reality, like, it wasn't.
Here's the thing. I one time had a talk with my sister and my cousin about that, because you're like, oh, well, it's normal for them to argue, or, like, every couple goes through an arguing phase. And I was like, no, they don't. Like, you don't need to go through an arguing phase. Yeah. I know that there's times where you argue about small little shit, like, oh, you didn't pick up your socks, or you didn't do this. But when it comes to, like, bigger stuff that you're arguing about, that's what I was telling them. I told them, a lot of people are telling me that it's just a phase that we all go through. But I was like, I don't think that's necessary, because I think you can definitely talk things out without having to get rowdy. And I think... Definitely. You know, I had a partner that did not see life that way, and it was like everything had to be. I remember one time they said, like, don't make problems the size of a phone, the size of a bed. And I was like, why was this person always making these problems? Yeah, like, because the phone. It was just an example. That example from that talk, but it was like, the phone is this size, and the bed fits 2 of you, and you're making the problem is the size of your phone. But you're making it the size of your bed right now, which is a fucking queen size bed. You know what I mean? And I was always like, I see it that way,
like,
though.
I got a king size. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I make them bigger. But yeah, and I just think that was one of my things where I think a lot of people will try to tell you, well, we all go through the arguing stage. And I'm like, you don't fucking need to, though.
I honestly never figured that out until I was starting to date my husband, because, like, I feel like every relationship I had prior, even, like, relationships that weren't, like, relationships that were just, like, oh, like, getting to know each other, trying to date, always had arguments. And then once, like, Ricardo and I, like, started dating, I was just like, I don't like this. And he was like, okay, well, let's talk about it. And I was like, how dare you want to talk about it?
Daddy's like, you don't want to tussle?
I want to fucking tussle right now.
She's all shocked.
Like, storm out the room.
That's so true, though. Oh my god. I think for me too, like, Pablo's not an argumentative person, you know?
He just pops balloons.
What? Background, please. I'm so lost right now.
He's gonna hate me for sharing this. Okay, I'm gonna share it though because
we gave context about it.
This happens, and okay, I'm going to share this with you in my most unbiased opinion on what happened. I mean, if I forget something, like, if I forget something, tell me, like, okay, but.
I'm sorry, Pablo.
So, yes, I'm sorry.
You know what, though? He doesn't even listen to the podcast.
He doesn't. It was Nancy. But okay. So, we have to go all the way back. I don't like video games. And I don't like them because, like, I would see my sister get stuck on them. And then, like, I noticed, like, a behavior in Pablo, too, that he gets stuck on, like, video games on his phone. So I was like, we're never getting a game console, nothing. And then, like, we ended up getting it. Tiago likes it a lot, but he's good. When I tell him it's time to stop, it's time to stop. Pablo, on the other hand, doesn't stop. And I had to remind him a few times. So, my mom was in the kitchen. I was on a Zoom call, and Pabs was watching the kids. Mm-hmm. And then I think my mom had said, like, the kids were being rowdy, and she paused them. Like hey.
They were playing with the balloon from Zoe's birthday.
Okay, yeah, but it was, like, loud, you know, and whatever. My mom had said something because somebody hit somebody, and, like, somebody got mad. First time. And Pablo's in the living room, in the middle, playing the game console. And then I guess Tiago or Zoe, one of them, got the string and put it around their neck. And then my mom was like, "Los niños!" And then I was like, so my first reaction, I hadn't seen anything that was happening, right? I don't have a visual of the living room. Mm-hmm. I only have a visual of my mom. And all I've heard is my mom already saying, like, second or third time, like, something's happening. Mm-hmm. I turned my video off. And then I yell, and I was like, do I have to go, Pat, do I have to go there, or do you have it under control? Again, like, I still hadn't seen anything. And so he got mad that I yelled. Yeah. He was probably irritated that my mom was also like, mm-hmm. you know? And so he grabs the balloon, like, all dramatic, grabs the balloon.
I didn't see any of this.
And bites it. Pops it. He was trying to pop it, but he couldn't, so he bit it. And then, like, it's Zoe's a 4-year-old balloon.
Her birthday.
Rips it, and the kids are like, ah, like, what did you just do? Like, mind you, like, we're on this, like, parenting journey where, like, we don't yell at our kids. We let their voices always be heard. And then they're like, probably like, ya los traumé.
Yeah.
Her balloon got massacred.
Yeah, the balloon dies. And they're, like, crying, and I'm, like, stop what I'm doing. Like, we're just trying to, like, and then, like, me and Pablo are just, like, well, why did you have to do that? Like, why did you pop his balloon? Like, and then he leaves, goes for his little minute, and then I'm talking to mom, and I'm like, what happened? Mm-hmm. Getting, like, all the details. What happened? What's going on? Get all the details, and then so I'm like, okay, we have to go, and we have to talk, you know?
Yeah.
So we go, we sit down, and we talk, and then I was like, look, I just want to explain to you, this is my point of view, this is what I heard, this is what I couldn't see, so this is everything that I was hearing. And I was like, you have this little tendency of, like, sometimes you get stuck on the console. So I'm thinking you're not paying attention, like, I'm trying to get this work done, it's evening. And then, so I was like, now what's your point of view? And he was like, I had everything under control. And I was like, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, you had everything under control. I think for me, in the future then, just tell my mom, because she doesn't know. And, like, you're not responding at all. Mm-hmm. So I don't hear you. My mom doesn't hear you. Next time, just be like, hey, Giga, like, I have it under control.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was like, and then we would avoid this whole thing. And then I was like, now look, tomorrow, you're going to Party City, and you're getting Tiago his balloon. You're getting Zoe her balloon. And it has to be that big. And then so he was like, okay, yeah, like, we apologize and everything, right? But, like, that's seriously about as toxic as my marriage has been.
Biting balloons.
Yeah.
I love that.
But, okay, so that was the most unbiased opinion, but it was really funny because then, like, after we all, like, talked about it, my mom was like, pinche Pablito agarró el globo, and she's, like, reenacting it. Like, and everyone's just like, because he don't. He doesn't get mad.
Dude, actually, I was thinking about that the other day. I think the day that he had to drive, and I was like, dude, Pablo's literally like the chillest person I've probably ever met in my life. Like, Pablo's just like, he's always just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so like mellow. Like, I strive to be that way. Like, I'm just like,
He is. He's helped me get there a little bit. I'm not all the way there yet, but I'm getting there.
I think it's a lot of unlearning for us because our moms are very
And
intense
maybe
people.
it's novelas. Maybe that's how novelas.
Yeah.
I love novelas because it has me like with so many memories of grandma. And then maybe the personality change, not personality change, but maybe my personality has a little bit to do with like novelas.
No, yeah, because Teresa was a big influence on me.
I was about to say
Ruby, dude.
Teresa and Ruby, I feel like made me the toxic person in a relationship.
I was more of a Teresa person, and I actually in my Spanish class in middle school, they all used to call me Teresa as a joke because I was like always so sassy, and I was like, yeah,
I remember
it
that.
makes sense.
Did you adopt, you think, some of the like attitudes that you saw there?
Yeah, fuck yeah, because I was like, she's a bad bitch. Like, who's gonna tell her anything?
Yeah, that's how.
And I was
saw
like,
it.
nobody better tell me anything either. That dude, I was.
Were you like that in the relationship that you had?
Teresa?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
No, I mean like that, like bad bitch attitude, like.
Sometimes when I needed to, but for the most part, I always just avoided like. I always try to respect my partner, and but then I think at some point where like more stuff started happening, I kind of lost respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that's when I was just like, fuck you.
Okay, so
Yeah.
going into that, so when do you think you realized that you were in a toxic relationship?
That's a really tough question. I think
It
because
is.
so much happened, and again, I just like I kept it all to myself. But I think once the arguments just consistently became yelling, and I was just like, I was starting to compare it to stuff that I saw growing up, and then I was like, fuck, I'm going in the same direction because that's what I saw. And I think the pattern of these issues that were continuing to happen over and over again, and that's when I was like, damn, I need to get out of here. But that's the thing, I think nobody tells you how hard it is to get out of one, though. It's really hard. And that's, remember when that whole red flag thing, when it was Nancy in that position, I was always like, girl, like, you deserve better, like, leave. And I was like, yeah, and like, I think about it now, and I'm like, God, like, I think it's not until you go through it that you realize how hard it is to leave someone, because it's freaking hard. And now I don't blame her, and I'm like, whatever she was going through, like, because I didn't have the knowledge of being in that situation, I tried to push her into loving herself in a different way, but she wasn't ready for it, you know, and that's kind of where I was too, where like I wasn't ready, and everyone was telling me like, you deserve better, this and that, like, love yourself or put yourself first, but I was still in like the denial phase where I was like, no, like, this is gonna work, like, this is a person I'm gonna be with, and yeah. But I think that's when I noticed when everybody around me started to tell me, because I would vent, and then everyone was like, girl, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah,
and
but
it hurts to hear that.
Yeah. And I think also because I think when I noticed it was like when the love bombing started, where he would fuck up, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm out, and then he'd be like, no, like, give me another chance, like, I'll prove to you that I'm different. And then it was like 2 weeks, a month of like him being on his best behavior, and then like something would happen, and then it'd start all over again, and it was just like a vicious cycle, and I couldn't get myself out of it, because I was telling you earlier, I was like, I was so used, I was never the type to chase a man, and I was also like, for a long time, you guys know that I was like single for a really long time, but I was dating, and I was seeing people, and I was talking to people, but it was never like, okay, if they would stop talking to me, okay, bye, like, whatever. And I was never like, oh, well, I got ghosted, or like, oh, we haven't talked, or they haven't made an effort. I didn't care about it. But with this one, I was like, he got me used to something in the beginning of the relationship, and then all of a sudden, like, he had me, and then he just stopped. So I was like, why would you just stop doing the things that you were doing before? So that was one of my biggest complaints. And then I totally forgot where I was going with this, but I had said something to you earlier about the more that he showed me he didn't want me, the more I wanted him. And it was just kind of, I was talking to my mom about this yesterday.
You're like, that's toxic.
Yeah, and that's when I realized, like, that, you know, it took me a long time to realize that I was just like, I was fighting for something so dead. Because I wanted it to work so bad. And maybe this other person, this person wanted it to work too, but, like, he just wasn't ready to put in the work. And and that's the thing, like, I can't say that. I guess I don't have anything good to say, but I don't have anything bad to say, but I also don't have anything good to say in terms of this person as a boyfriend, because he was not a good boyfriend at all. And I think he just wanted the title of him being my boyfriend, but didn't want to put in the work to be a boyfriend, if that makes sense. Like, some people are just, like, they're toxic in different ways, but I think the most toxic of all is when you don't want to act right for someone, but you just want to have that entitlement to them, and just, like, you don't want anybody else to have them, but you want them all to yourself, but you're not willing to put in the work to maintain, you know, like, I water you, you water me. But in this case, I was the only one watering, and I was just like, bro, like, you're such a dead plant, because he was so dead on the inside, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I
Your
kept
roots
making,
are rotten.
yeah.
And I mean, you're in an amazing situation where you're out and you have this, like, wonderful life going on, and that things that you're going to build, and learning from that relationship is only going to prepare you even more for the next one. You know, like, unfortunately you went through it, and hopefully, like, our kids don't have to go through that, because we'll raise them better. Not that we'll raise them better, but you know what I mean.
But they're not going to watch novelas. I'm just kidding. No, but I think
it's not a novela.
You're very vocal on, I think you've said it in previous podcasts, where you're like, I tell my kids that I love them, and I let them know how much they're loved, and I always ask that if I'm hurting them, for them to let me know. And I think that's where I kind of picked that up also, not only from novelas, but from growing up, where I've always felt like I didn't have a voice. So for me, this was something so normal and so familiar, because there were things that I saw growing up. So again, it was kind of like the same thing where, like, I thought it was love. Like, I did think that it was love. Yeah.
I didn't even know what love bombing was until, like, a couple of weeks ago. I saw this, like, infographic that described it, and I was like, huh, that's what I was getting then.
I don't know what it is. Can you explain?
So love bombing is, like, let's say your husband or whatever does something to you, like, they cheat on you, for example. That's probably the easiest one I can think of. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna leave, and then they're like, no, like, give me another chance. And then for that time that they're trying to, like, make it work again, they're just, like, buying you flowers, or they're like, I love you, and they're so lovey-dovey with you. And then it just, it's just like,
posting you on their stories on their Instagram.
Oh my God, I've been love bombed.
Yeah, and then it just stops all of a sudden.
Because then they're,
because they're like, okay, I have her again, and then they'll fuck up again, and then they'll love bomb you for, like, that time, and they'll be like, I want to be with you, this is the last time I do it. And just, like, it's kind of like gaslighting in a way too. Like, it's just they're making false promises, and they're trying to get you to think that this is it. Yesterday I was talking to my mom about it, and I saw, I don't know where I saw it, but it was like, one thing with men is that with every new chance that you give them, they love you more, but you love them less. And my mom was like, that's really true. Like, that's where I was. I was like, I would give this person another chance, and they would love bomb me, and then, you know, whatever. But then I was just like, dude, with every fuck up you do, and every new thing that you do to me, I literally, like, the love, I could feel it. Yeah. And it's just, it took a lot of, like, to mentally check out until I was just like, okay, bye. Because there were so many failed attempts to leave this person, and I knew that I was fucking up, but it's so hard when you're in denial, because you're just like, I want it to work so bad, like, I want this person to be right, but again, you can't you can't save someone that doesn't want to be saved, and like
Yeah.
you can't force someone to love you.
I had a very similar situation where I wanted out. I knew I had to get out, but why couldn't I get out? Like, it was easy. Like, yeah, like, go away, shoot, you know. But like, you don't do that.
I think it's because we, not we, but I'm saying people that have been in toxic relationships. I was living with this person, so it was a lot of withdrawals that I was feeling.
That's tough.
So I was telling my mom yesterday, people don't realize that sometimes people are a drug, because they love bomb you. The love bombing, of course, was like, I was always like, oh my god,
and the
this
thing
is
is
so
that
amazing. Like,
I think people can see that you're getting love bombed and can see the cycle you're going through. Like, for example, I went through all of that, and then
I was the friend.
And then in this situation, I think I was the person seeing you go through it, but at the same time, I don't feel like, I couldn't go and be like, hey, like, what's happening to me is literally happening to you, like, you should get out.
What's happening to you literally happened to me.
That's the thing.
Dude, like, my toxic relationship was so bad that me and Lizzie stopped talking.
Dude,
we like,
BFFs.
I moved out.
You saw it. You saw it happen, because she moved.
I was in between it all, and it was so tough because you guys were beefing, and then I was like,
dude, we've never beefed in our life. Like,
it hurt me so bad, dude. Like,
and like,
like, if you watched last episode about my depression, like,
it was me.
I was
the culprit.
I was highly depressed because we weren't talking. Like, I've never, like, even thinking about it now, like, makes me like weak.
So that's why when you talk about your pregnancy with Zoe, and like Zoe's like baby and infanthood, like, I wasn't there.
No, she wasn't.
But it's because like I knew I was in that toxic relationship. I knew the person I was with was very, very abusive to me, very bad to me. But I couldn't leave. So what I ended up doing was just me leaving instead and going with them, so I didn't have to hear the constant remarks from everybody.
See, and I'm really glad you bring that up, because that was me too. And that's what, obviously, again, I had several failed attempts to leave this person, and I would talk to them about it and be like, why is it so hard for us to leave each other? Because if it's not me looking for you, it's you looking for me, and we just can't fucking do it. And like, the no contact, it just didn't apply, because the second we missed each other, we'd be like, hey, you know. And this last time was harder because I was living in Riverside, but then obviously, like, I spent these last few months with this person, but again, these last 3 months were just so eye-opening, because I was just like,
well, and for you guys, like, let me ask you really quick, because it goes back to also you leaving. Like, it's one level to date somebody, right? And then it's toxic, but then, like, no están viviendo juntos, and then you guys were both in a situation where, like, you lightweight had, like, finances mixed up because this person was your roommate too. Like, that's like another level. And then there's like that level of like, well, now we have kids, now we have to go through this divorce, now we have to, you know, like, it's so many like major steps that you like have to go through. ¿Me entiendes?
Yeah, I remember just being a little petty at the end though, like when I was finally like, you know what, peace the fuck out. And so my situation was difficult because I technically didn't live there. It wasn't until I moved there and made that, like, my address change at the fucking DMV that they packed up my stuff and they were like, hey, fuck you, bye. And I was just like, oh. And so I think my, like, car insurance was still under theirs, and I stopped paying. Because I was just like, well, I might as well. Like,
I remember too. I was like, don't pay that shit.
I'm like, I'm gonna take the laptop. I gave it to Adi.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go fuck. But no,
yeah, you did?
I was
like, I'll buy it off of you. I need it.
That's good. I'm glad you guys did that.
No, but it's just funny because, like, I look back on it now and, like, I think you asked Ani, and sorry, I don't mean to, like, change the topic a lot, but when did you notice you were in that toxic relationship? I feel like I always kind of knew throughout it, But I don't think I really looked back and saw how bad it was until the final straw. And I say final because there was multiple attempts to like leave, and then the same thing, the love bombing, the like, and then the guilt tripping, and then it's just like, well, we have these plans and we have these finances together and we have this, and it wasn't until like, so when that breakup happened, Ani, my saving grace, we went out a lot, like right after.
I remember that.
And Annie was like, have you heard that song Be Careful by Cardi B?
Oh my god, our soundtrack, yes.
Yes, okay. Well, it was just like, Annie was like my like culprit of the Be Careful, because like, I already forgot where I was going with
song. I'll hear it later.
Yeah, it's funny, but like we were hearing a lot of that, and then like that's when I sat there and I looked back and I was like, why am I giving this person all of my attention, all of like the ability to control my happiness and everything I'm doing? Like, they were such like, they never, like, I think now that I look back on it, I don't think they ever really wanted to be with me. I was just honestly like a babysitter, essentially, what I ended up becoming at the end, because they did have a child from a previous relationship, and I ended up having to do a lot of that stuff. And there's even one situation where I wish I would have told you guys about it when it happened, but I was just so like ashamed of what I was going through, that I had told you that I was going to come on one of my days off Fridays when I used to work at the other job, and I was going to help you do drop-offs with the kids and watch Zoe in the morning. And then this person got really mad at me because they were like, how are you going to leave when like my child has crazy hair day tomorrow and I need you to do his hair? And I was just like, that's not my fucking kid, man. Like, I don't know. I was like, and then so I didn't stay. I went and I took care of your kids because they're my nieces and nephews. And then now I think back on it and I was like, what the fuck? Why did I get, like, literally, why did I get in trouble that day? Like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, this wasn't my kid. Like, I don't care, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Oh no, don't worry.
I had my petty.
I know, like, we all had our petty moments. I got
on Facebook. I was like,
I will say this though. I think that if you're in a toxic relationship long enough,
Instagram.
Yeah. I no, hold on, because there's even more, and I don't care anymore. Like, if you're in a toxic relationship enough, and like I think we know this guy that I was with before, like, we had breakups where we were like months away, so like I became really fucking petty during these times. Like, I myself became a little toxic too, and so yeah. So there was just one time, I don't know why, they were like, my password is the same password for everything. And I'm like, you gotta tell me this info, and then we break up, and then I find out. And so I was like, well, let me fucking log on to your Instagram and like, let me expose you like what a shitty person you were. And it's because at the time, they didn't want to be with me because like they started getting attention from other girls, but they didn't know how to handle dating multiple women at a time, I want to say. So they would privatize their story on Instagram. So I went in and I unclicked every other girl he was talking to so they can see he was on a date with some other girl. And like,
that's so toxic.
I know, this.
But I had
he deserved it.
He deserved, dude. They were just. I was just so mad, and I remember I was just like, "You're gonna dump me and go date all these girls."
I gotta say something about that. But
I'm like, and not even do it right. I was like, duh. And the funnier thing is, we got back together after that, like the idiot I was, and like I was like, oh, I'm gonna take off my. I think I was doing a story once. And I'm like, oh, I just don't want my coworkers to see this, and like, blocking your story doesn't even work. And I was like. Yes, it does.
Didn't work for you, bitch.
Yeah. First of all, doing it totally wrong. Because I was a toxic. I think I was in such a toxic relationship that I also became a toxic. And I tried to leave and I couldn't leave. And I'm like, now, ahora lo pienso. And I'm like, you could just leave whenever you want. But at that time, I felt like I couldn't leave. Like, I tried to leave and I can't leave. Because same, like, nos dejamos de hablar and then we're like... again, you know, but I started dating multiple people, and all I did was use one nickname for everyone, and I would never have any photos, anything, never. Like, there's no social media, there's nothing, and that was it. Like, but I never got caught for it either.
No, this person was an idiot too, because I remember they tried to send. This when Snapchat was still a thing.
Me taking notes right now.
So pretty much, everything I'm gonna
I'm in my villain era.
But dude,
So
like,
learn
it was
from
so
these people's mistakes.
Yeah.
No, have you guys seen? I'm sorry, those memes that is like, alguien tiene que pagar por lo que me hizo mi ex.
See, that's why I'm glad. Like,
Sucks.
you know,
I'm joking though. I would
No,
never.
but that sucks that I got to that point. Like, I was so
No,
toxic.
I got to that point too where I was just like, first of all, you're a fucking idiot for putting the same password on everything. Because it's like, you think I'm not going to retain that info? I retain that info.
Dude, I think it's honestly, I think it's because when you get betrayed, your mind just starts. It gets triggered so easily with little things like that.
And I got betrayed,
especially
so
once
many
it's like it involves like checking people's phones, and I was like, dude, I'm really out here.
Okay, that's the thing though, because like I would do that a lot, and of course every fucking time I would go through their phone, I would find multiple messages, and I'd find out that, you know, he was fucking the neighbor or something, and then I would be like, you know, but like after that, like I think I dated for a little bit after we broke up, and then I actually ran into my husband again. And I say that because we knew each other in high school, and we ran in, and then we started dating, and then he was like, yeah, my passcode is this, and I was just like, and full transparency, babe, I'm sorry, because you're going to be editing this. When I went through his phone the first time, my husband's phone.
It's boring.
Exactly, I was just like, Nancy.
You're like, man, he really doesn't want to Tesla.
I was just like, why aren't you problematic? No, this shit's boring. And I was like, I don't even want to go through his phone. There's nothing on there.
Yeah.
But like, I still had that like fear, you know, like because of these relationships.
It sucks.
It sucked, and then like I still had, and so like, I'm like honestly like when my husband and I started dating, like I'm like, is it a red flag that there's no red flags? Like I got that mentality.
Remember, it doesn't matter. We're colorblind. Colors don't matter.
In conclusion, I feel I think it's very difficult to identify when it was that you noticed that you were in a toxic relationship. Mm-hmm. I do think that in my example, I didn't notice it was a toxic one until I left. And then I looked back on it and I was like, well, damn, dude, you really fucked me up good. Like mentally in every fucking way possible. And I you know, luckily, like I finally was like, hey, this is the last time, like I'm leaving, like I have to, because even afterwards, even after all this shit, like they put me through, they still, even after they were like dating somebody else, they were still consistently trying to still get me back. Mm-hmm. And then Ani was like, nope, you're fucking down, we're gonna put you on blast real quick.
Mm-hmm. So I am blocked. I'm blocked.
Yeah, and so
yeah,
it's interesting because you know, whatever they do with their life now, it's them. But I just feel like I didn't know until afterwards. But like now I feel like I know better and I know what it is. But at the same time, I knew that when I was in it, I knew that when she was telling me that, and when my friends were telling me, like, you need to get out, I was just like, no, you bitches are dumb. Like, I love this guy. It's going to work out.
It's
and
us
so,
against
like,
the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, like,
that's what my toxic person told me. And I was like, okay, it's us.
So then that's what I felt like when I started seeing, like, similarities and, like, sorry, yours?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to make sure, and I remember telling some of our friends this, and I remember telling Ricardo and Lizzie this, that like I was hated so much when I was in my toxic relationship by my family and my friends that everyone turned their back and didn't want to hear. Sorry, but nobody wanted to deal with me anymore. You know, they did not want to hear the same problems I was having with the same person.
Well, she knows. I told her, and I was like, dude, like, I just can't talk to her anymore because it's affecting me so much.
But when I was really going through it, I had no one to talk to.
Yes,
and so like I kept it all to myself. So I wanted to make sure that even though I know that you were going through the same things, similar things, like I don't know if you ever noticed it, but I really didn't try to be like, you need to fucking leave his ass.
Neither of you did, but that itself made me like so self-conscious though, like because I would like bring him around and I was like, I know everybody fucking hates him though, like
no, it wasn't hate, and that's the thing, like it really made me feel like
es que duele.
It hurts to see. That's what it is. It's not hate towards them at all. Like honestly, like even like because as you know, like I spoke to them the last time and I was just like, hey, like, hi, if you ever want to drop the dog off, please do, you know, like there was no, and I didn't even know you guys were, but like I just wanted to make sure that you felt you knew that whenever you needed to, you can talk to us. So I never wanted to talk ill about
but
this
I also
person.
know how much it hurts because you were like, before I guess you didn't have Lizzie, but I feel like with me, I would be like, oh my God, Nancy, you're so dumb. I would say that.
Yeah,
but
you guys still kind of had each other.
But you would,
which I was thankful
like,
that
you
were
would
there for her.
tell
But
me.
if you notice towards the end, I stopped talking like about the problems we were having.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the breakup where I was just like,
where you spilled everything, and I was like,
well, really, wasn't. I mean, the breakup when I got kicked out of a house, and I was just like, where do I go?
But I do remember how much it would hurt me to see her go through that, because I used to tell her all the time, I was like, dude, you always had a good example at home. And I was like, don't ever let anyone treat you less than
it was
how
the
you're...
novelas. Like, the novelas told me, like, if you guys are arguing, if they're fighting for you.
Very happy, healthy marriage.
Fuck yeah, they did. I loved being here because of that.
And, like, the only thing that I can see that was, I mean, especially now because my dad's not here, but, like, I was like, my dad was perfect. Like, there's nothing that he did wrong, you know? Like, he was toxic when he was single, but, like, that's where I got it from. But that's it. Like, he was always a really good example. The only thing I guess maybe he could have told us a little bit more, and this is kind of like what we're trying to do with the kids, is like have them talk, like have a voice, like, and number one, like, love yourself first. Love will come. Like, I remember Dad was always like, don't let anybody touch you. I never hit your mom. Have you ever seen me hit your mom? But that was the most that he would kind of talk about relationships. Or it wasn't so open, you know? Like,
and then I think also going back to the novelas and kind of like, you know, we never learned that abuse it can be in other ways besides physical.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Dad was a very, like, it's only
my
physical.
dad was, you know, like, and thank God, like, I never did have to ever go through like any physical abuse in in that one, but you know, like, I didn't understand that.
Dude, I got
emotional
once, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Yes. Yeah. And I left that day. I left. Ya no regresé. Anyways, that's my trauma.
We're all just like, and I know where they live, so.
No, but I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Bitch, you think I can come back from there?
I know, I'm like processing it. I'm like,
dude, okay, no. I guess let's highlight it a little bit. Yeah, dude, like, it got so bad. Like, the argument got so bad with my last toxic person. And it was like, and I was like, what the fuck?
Pinche estrellas.
Dude, like, my soul came back.
dude, that's crazy.
I'm leaving. Like, this is it. Like, oh my God, this is really toxic. I gotta go.
Why didn't you press charges?
I didn't think it was enough. Like, it was like, I was like, it was just a slap. Like, are they gonna do anything? No. So why ever say anything? But I didn't realize, like, how bad it had gotten, you know? It was just, I was just as surprised. And I don't, like, that's probably, like, how somebody feels, like, the first time it happens to them, like, when they get hit, you're just like, did that just happen? But, and then, like, again, like, I was like, no, like, my dad always told me, like, never physical, so me fui. And that was that. And there's, like, absolute, ever since then, like, no communication, no closure, no apology, nothing. It was it. But it was, yeah, this is toxic.
That is tough, yeah. You know how you were like, no apology, no closure? I think sometimes you don't need it. Sometimes you really don't need closure.
Yeah,
like,
you don't.
No, and then, okay, so back to the question, when did you realize? I think TikTok played a big part in me realizing when I saw other girls talking about, I left my toxic relationship, and then they were saying things that I went through, and I was like, and then but it's also the same thing for them, because they also say how it took them a long time to leave.
Wait, was your moment when you got slapped, or was it before that?
Wait, what?
She said it was that. She said it was.
Was it the moment when they slapped you? Was that when you realized
left?
That I left, yeah.
No, that you realized it was a toxic relationship, or how do you?
No, I realized it was before. Like, once we were just, like, not hitting each other up anymore. Like, it was just supposedly a relationship, but we would go days without talking to each other. Weeks, I think. It was weird. It was so weird. Such a dark time.
Yeah. But you know what? That's nobody needs to understand that but you, though. Yeah. Like, that's because I think at the time we also forget how we felt while it was going on, and then I think you just like block it out of your memory that it's like, why would I expect anybody else to understand it? You know, like I didn't even understand it. That's where I was too. But yeah, I think when I saw this TikTok that said, don't let the same man tell you they don't want you twice or some shit like that. Don't let the same man tell you they don't want you twice or more than once. And I was like, dude, yeah, because like they're vocalizing that they love me, but their actions are saying completely otherwise. And why the fuck am I starting to hate myself? You know, and like it was kind of getting to that point where I was like, am I the problem? Like, am I the trauma? But no, dude, this person was fighting demons, and I could not help you fight those demons anymore because you did not want to be helped. And like, dude, si tú te quieres hundir, húndete tú solo. But I'm not going with you anymore. And that's kind of where I guess I was. I became the notes app girl, where I would write
down everything
on my notes, and I'd be like, this is a reason to leave. And then I wrote to myself.
Dude, that works.
Like a journal?
No, that works. I did that too.
I didn't know of this.
So
on the notes app, you just write down what you're going through.
See, I feel like you guys talking about the notes app, I didn't know about this, and I feel like you guys having access to more things now, like therapy again, todo eso, like I don't know, like if I was living in a bubble or it's just more people talk about it now.
See, this is where I go back to why I didn't like my old therapist.
Also, you were BlackBerry? Is that the phone?
Yeah, she had a BlackBerry.
You were BlackBerry era.
I was
Sidekick. So, yeah, and Sidekick.
Yeah.
So I think because we had iPhones, and that's a notes app. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. But it's cool, like knowing that now more people can talk about they're like somebody that probably has no clue they're in a toxic relationship is like, oh my god, like her voice sounds so similar, like oh my god, like I've been slapped too. You know, like se dan cuenta.
There was just a TikTok that I saw the other day, and some girl was like, why are you guys so specific on TikTok? Like, we all just went through the same situation where like there was a snoring man next to us and us crying. Like, why the fuck are you guys being so loud for? And I was like, yeah, I went through that, dude. Like, there was times where like there was a snoring man next to me because we would be arguing, and then this guy would just be like fucking done asleep snoring, and then I'd be next to him fucking crying because we were never figuring out solutions. Yeah. And I was just so fucking miserable, and I was like, god damn, all these bitches really went through it too, huh? Like, I think we all go through that one toxic relationship, unfortunately. But it is tough. And I will say, though, as much as I wish I hadn't gone through these things, I am thankful that I'm starting to find myself again, and there's like so much self-love, because I was finally like, bitch, you're worth more than that. Like, you know, I just had to fucking tell myself so much, like, like, why the fuck are you letting some other fucking dumb bitch treat you that way when, like, no one in your life has ever disrespected you like that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your dad treats you like a princess. You know?
He doesn't text me back, but yeah.
Dad, if you're watching this,
please text her. He
called you. Okay, to your point about self-love y todo eso. You guys now, Ani, like you have this whole new era, like,
and it's just the beginning.
Yes. What are you expecting for the next thing? Not even expecting, but what are you gonna be working on?
Myself.
Yeah, I was like
myself, dude. I can't even begin to explain. So I had the breakup is pretty recent. But we broke up 6 months ago. But obviously throughout it, I was still like I was having really bad withdrawals. And just this last time, I was like, I'm fucking over it. Because I already had other shit going on. And he just happened to get me on the wrong day. And I was like, first of all, you're over there, I'm over here. If we don't talk, it's fucking the same shit. We're still not seeing each other. Like, I don't know when I'm going to see you next. And I remember I was really sad like one day, and then my friend picked me up, and I just fucking told him everything, and I was like, you are the first person that I tell everything to, and probably the only person that I'll like tell this much to. And he was like, I can't believe you were going through all that. And I was like, dude, I was the dumbest bitch ever, but literally I can say that after I vented and I said this shit out loud, I was like, why am I crying? And I told him, I was like, you would think, I was like crying while I was telling him this. I was like, you would think that after all the stuff he put me through, I would not be so sad about it, but I'm fucking sad. And I was like, and I'm having such a hard time understanding my emotions. And he's like, it's okay, like cry it out, like blah blah blah. And then I think that's kind of where like after that day, dude, I felt like all this weight off my shoulders, because I was like, I can finally speak up and like say what I'm going through. And like having a friend that had gone through the same thing and was like, I'm never gonna judge you, dude, just know that I'm never gonna judge you for staying through that and all this other stuff. And oh my god, it felt like such a relief. I swear to you, after that I was just like, it just felt like literally the easiest way to explain it is that a weight off my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends, when I told her about it, she said, I'm glad you got rid of his dead weight. And I was like, that's really what it was. Because back to the whole like, I water you, you water me, I was watering a dead plant this whole fucking time, because he's like so rotten on the inside that like there was nothing I can do. Like it wasn't my job. And I would tell this person so many times, like, dude, all the pain that you have from your childhood, from whatever the fuck you have pain about, I was never there, and I did not cause it to you. So I was like, you need to stop treating me like I was the freaking person. I was like, talk to a therapist, talk to the person that hurt you. I was like, I'm not the one. Like, and you're fucking letting it out on me for what reason? Because I'm the easiest one. And I would tell him all the time, I was like, I'm fucking tired of being your punching bag, dude. Like, I'm just fucking tired of you just like, anytime you had problems with anybody else, like I was the one that was getting the fucking shitty end of the stick, dude. Like for what, you know?
Yeah.
And I was really fucking tired of it. But again, like I said, it's hard to leave someone, but then I think it's like that last time you get back with someone, you just, at least for me, I was just like, you're so exhausting.
We have to have an emancipation party.
I want to so bad. I tweeted it. Yeah, I was like, I want to have it.
I'm gonna tell Sin about it. Okay?
I literally was like, I wanted to get a sash instead, the opposite of a bachelorette party.
We didn't know that you had a breakup. Mm-hmm. We kind of just figured it out through your tweets.
Yeah, I knew. Actually, my friend, I won't say any names, but this person's like going through a breakup too, and they said that they try to keep it as mysterious as possible because they don't want anybody to know. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. I've been quiet this whole fucking relationship. These last 3 years, I've been quiet. Because, again, we have a lot of mutual friends. And then, obviously, Nancy, Ricardo, everybody knows who this person is. But because of that, I always kept quiet because I didn't want their friends to have a bad image. But now I'm like, I don't give a fuck, dude. I literally can give two shits less. I'm going to be very vocal about it. And that is my villain era, I guess. That's where I'm just like,
we all have.
She's like, I'm starting my villain era.
I don't give a fuck if anyone tells me like, bro, we all know you went through a toxic relationship through your tweets. I don't give a fuck, dude. And
I was just saying I found out you had a breakup.
No.
I said it on my podcast.
Yeah. And that I'm not saying it because of what you said, but I was tweeting it because I was finally like,
I have to get back on Twitter.
I want to just fucking talk shit about
it. I'm so old.
It's not really that fun.
It's not that fun anymore.
I just read Annie's tweets and Ricardo's, and sometimes I like to look at one where it's just like, haciendo cosas con perritos, and it's just tweets of little dogs.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Chilaquil on TikTok?
Love Chilaquil.
Love
Chilaquil, we love you.
But anyways, back to the topic, because I really want to ask this, and I know we've been recording for a long time. I know you mentioned that you were also the toxic person, and I want to talk about this. When did you guys realize you were being toxic in the relationship? Because I think you also, and obviously, like, when did you realize it was a toxic relationship, but when did you realize you were being toxic?
Do you want to go first?
No, go first.
Okay. So I think my moment of realization where I realized it was a toxic relationship was because we just, ya no nos hablamos. Like, it was weird. Like, we were just like, but anyways, and then I knew that I was being toxic the minute that I was like, no evidence. Like, no tomamos fotos, no nothing. Like, I was never here. There was never anything. Like, I was like, I shouldn't have to do that. I should just be single.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be totally okay, but, like, why can't I be single?
That was me these last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I would not post him. People knew I was with him, but I would only post him on close friends. I don't know if you guys ever caught that. No. I would only post him on close friends. Other than that, I didn't post him anymore.
I didn't have social media then. It was just easier to just do that.
But that was... I mean, not gonna lie, I think I was toxic in different relationships, and there was one where I was like that too, where I just didn't want to be with this person anymore. So I was just like, I don't want people to know we're together. Like, I don't know why I didn't just break up with him then. I ended up breaking up with him shortly after, but like, I was like, I'm gonna start going out. I'm gonna start going on dates. Even though I was with someone, I was just like, they treat me like shit anyways. But I don't really know. I can't even think of when I was.
When you realized you were toxic?
Yeah.
Well, not toxic, but I guess like mentally checked out.
I think
when you were like,
when you don't want to post, like, because for me, social media has always still kind of been a thing the entire time I've been like old enough to date. So it always had to do with like posting somebody, or like going out after work for like, or like meeting up with like different friends, and they're like, oh, are you so and so? So I'm like, no. Why? And it wasn't even like a date or anything I'd be on sometimes. It would just be out with friends, and I'd just be like, oh, where's this person? I'm like, like, I don't talk to them. Like they can do whatever the fuck they want.
I think the first picture I posted at Paps was like when we got married.
Your save the date.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that was literally, I remember that.
And I was like, yeah, we got married. But
the caption was hilarious too.
What was it?
I think it was like, it was only supposed to be a summer fling or some shit like that.
It really was though. Because I was in my, I
she was in her villain era.
I was single and I was going through this, like, I'm living my best life. That's why I ask you, like, what are your plans now?
I haven't finished answering it though. Now that I think about it, dude, I was talking to Rudy about it, and I was like, one thing for sure is that I know what freedom tastes like, and I also know what being in a long-term relationship tastes like, and I really like being single. And I was like, and
like, we all had that. Like, I'm not saying, like, Annie's about to have it because you had it, and now you're married, and not like, but you remember your single era after a toxic, like, it was the best because you were like, I am the most amazing person.
That was when her and I, like, were all together all the time.
And that's when I got a new job, too, so it worked out perfect because, like, I made a lot of friends there.
I traveled the world.
I would go out a lot, and not even, like, going out, but, like, I got to do whatever I did when I wanted it without having to check in with somebody. And, like, not that it's not like that either, because then, like, I did run into my husband a few months after that, and, like, I was like, no, I don't want to date you, because I was like, I just got out of a relationship a year ago. But then, like, it kind of, like, worked out perfectly because it's just, like, me, like, I think I was going a little crazy for a little bit. And then we started dating, and I was just like, I like this place that we're going. I like slowing down right now.
Yeah. I do think that with toxic relationships comes a lot of traumas afterwards. And I think that's kind of where I am right now, where, like, I was like, I fucking hate men. And I do know that there's good men out there, but for now, it's like, fuck men.
But it happens when you're least expecting it, because I really was not thinking about running into this guy I used to like from high school, and then end up dating him a few years after that, and then marrying him. You know, I didn't think I was going to go to Starbucks one day, and then this guy was going to be like, I think this drink is yours, and I was just like, Ricardo.
She's like, and I think you're mine.
She was so shy, and I remember that.
She was like,
oh my God, Liz, do you remember him? And I was like, no me acuerdo.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you like him? And
you know what,
like,
though?
Like, hard eyes.
She did that, but also...
And he didn't respond back to her.
Yeah, you know, he did. He sent me a laughing emoji back, and I was like, and that's why we didn't start dating since that month.
A laughing emoji?
He did, dude. Lizzie sent him hard eyes, and he wrote back a laughing emoji, and I was like...
She was so nervous and so cute.
He friend-zoned me.
And then, like, what ended up happening, I think I told one of my coworkers, and I was like, oh, like, it was after we had run into each other and started talking again. And I was like, yeah, like, I don't want to start dating him, though, because I feel like if I start dating him, I'm going to marry him.
Oh, my God, really?
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Cool. I also knew I was going to marry Paula really early on. But
we got engaged pretty quickly.
You could possibly, like, Nancy.
I mean, like, we just had a similar situation, but, like, I wasn't, like, what I'm trying to say, like, I was living and enjoying my life the way I wanted it, and then, like, boom, it happened to me. And, like, I like that it happened to me, though, you know? I accepted it happening. But, like, you, like, do whatever you want, enjoy everything, and then, like, maybe what happens to you unexpectedly isn't a new relationship. Maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's a new career. Maybe it's something else that's going to bring you whatever joy it is that you want at the moment. Fulfillment, yeah.
And you might, because Nancy's worked out perfect to where, like...
Congrats on your breakup.
She was toxic. She was in that toxic bubble, beautiful era, and then, ta-da, she's married. I still had a moment where I've met a few toxics, but it lasts way less time. Like, te das cuenta luego, you're like, okay, ya me voy.
I was talking to my mom about that. Because she asked, like, if I was gonna see him this time around. And then I was like, no. And she's like, yeso? And then I was like, I haven't talked to him in a week. And then she's like, yeso? And then I was like, all right, so since you've been gone, this and this happened. And then, like, you know, I started telling her. And then I was telling her that it's just so I'm like, I think about dating again, and I'm like, that's so exhausting.
It is. It's exhausting once.
I don't want a positive outlet.
And I was talking to our cousin Nayeli the other day, because actually that day that I hung out with her, she was like, I guess, like, subconsciously, like, giving me such great advice, and she was telling me about what she's going through right now, and she was like, yeah, like, my life is so great. And then she made a joke, and she's like, because she's like, one day she's like, you're in the same bed, like, fart, like, and they're like farting next to you, and the next day you're asking this new guy what his favorite color is. And then I was like, and then I just stayed quiet, and I thought about that.
You were like, you would fart a lot.
And then no, because it was so funny, just like the way she said it. And then I started thinking about that, and I was like, fuck, dude, like, I'm gonna have to go through this cycle of getting to know someone and just getting comfortable with them.
Get at your pace.
And then I was just like, I thought about it like that way, because my other friend was like, you need to start dating, you need to rebound, you need to do this. And I was like, Rudy, I don't want to date. Yeah, and I was like, nah, dude, I've never been that type of person. I was like, I don't want to rebound, and I was like, I really don't want to date men right now. One, because getting to know them is exhausting, and I'm gonna have to pretend like I actually give a fuck. You know? And
well,
I think once it happens,
but like she said, it happens when you least expect
and then, like, you actually do give a fuck.
Yeah. But for right now, I
actually do want to know why you're in
right now I don't want to, like, I don't want to
plan the emancipation party.
See, I'm telling you, let's just go to Vegas, and then we can do, like, a podcast in Vegas.
Ooh, we should.
Here's what we did last night.
But you see, also, and we're here. We're here to support you. And all of us have had each other. Like, once we bounce back from it all, like, tienes tu apoyo. Like, I love seeing Nancy's single era. I love seeing your single era, and I'm like,
I actually, okay, this probably, so we can wrap up, but I was talking to a friend the other day who, I asked her how she was doing, and then she started saying that she was very unhappy in her relationship, and a lot of the things that she was telling me were, I was like, I feel like I'm talking to myself right now. And I was like, look, it's gonna hurt. And I was like, but one thing that I did tell myself this last time was, if I'm hurting with you, and I'm gonna hurt without you, which it's up to me to choose my battles. I'd rather hurt alone, and I'd rather cry every day because I miss you than cry because I'm with you and you're not treating me right. And I told her that, and I was like, take that how you want. And I was like, and if you're not ready to leave him, I 100% understand, and I'm gonna be there for you because I know what it's like. And I was like, and I'm never gonna judge you if you decide to stay with him. And I was like, regardless of what, because I know what it's like. And then she left him, and I was like, so we're probably gonna hang out soon. But I was like, dude, like, I'm happy for you. And I was like, and I just gave her my story, and I gave her what I went through, and I was like, take that how you want, take it as advice, or just, you know, whatever, but just at the end of the day, you're gonna do whatever you want to do. Obviously, we all did it, but I did tell her, I was like, if you're hurting with him, like, just know that, like, you're also gonna hurt without him, but it's up to you to choose which battle you want to fight.
And it's gonna hurt really bad for anyone that's going through it. But once you go through the worst part of it, like, you get this, like, rejuvenation, and you're just like, wow.
You know what?
I am my own person.
For me, the worst part of it was being in the relationship, though. So her and I were talking, and we were like, we've grieved the relationship while we were in it, because I was like in it and I was just like grieving it because I missed what it was in the past. And
I have that era too.
Another thing where it's like a healing journey, right? Because you're with someone and you're trying to, again, I try to make it work with this person so much. And when we tried a few sessions of couples therapy, and I was very like honest with the therapist, and she said that whoever broke the trust, it was their job to repair it. And back to the same, like back to that whole thing, like there was never any repairing on their side. It was just kind of like, okay, well, you forgave me, get over it type of shit, right? And I was just like, no.
Here's the band-aid anyways, let's keep going.
Yeah, like what? You know, so yeah, it was just, it's a lot, and it's a lot of, there's like so much, I can talk for hours about it, but overall, like I was just telling her, like you got to pick your battles sometimes. And like I grieved the relationship while I was in it, and I wanted to heal back to the person that I was, but in reality, like these traumas and these betrayals, you're never going to be the same person ever again. So like I think a lot of people think, oh, I haven't healed from it because I don't feel the way I used to, or I don't trust the way I used to. It's like, girl, after you go through something like that, you're never going to trust the same. Like, and it's especially if your partner is not putting in the effort to make it the same, you know what I mean? I guess that's when I noticed, when I just stopped giving and everything felt like a chore. I was like, get away from me, don't touch me, I don't want to cuddle. You're annoying, you're not funny anymore, like stop, you know? And it was getting to that point, and like this person would tell me, like, I fucking annoy you, huh? And then I'd be like, no, I'm just having a bad day, like. But no, in reality, I was like, I don't even fucking want to look at you, dude. Like, it just like it got to that point, and I think that's when I noticed. I was like, bro, you're so fucking mentally checked out, and you're not doing anything about it. Like, just get the fuck up and leave. Your stuff's already in Riverside. What is 2 bags gonna, you know? Like, the hard part that I went through was packing all my shit in one day and taking it back to Santa Ana. And now this time around, when I was here these last 3 months, where I was just like, I'm so over you, I was like, bro, all I have to do is just pack a few luggages and fucking go. Like, who gives a fuck this time? You know, I'm not packing a whole fucking desk in my car.
That's true.
Yeah.
Did you pack by yourself?
I think she said they packed for her.
They packed it for me. And
I was like, they packed for her? Yeah.
Yeah, and they forgot to take. I was like, I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this.
They packed for you? I didn't.
They shoved stuff in the car, in my little Honda that I used to have.
Oh, I remember that car.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's end it on a positive note. You guys, I would say, for somebody that's realizing that it's toxic, what piece of advice would you give them? Something short and sweet.
How would you talk to a friend if they were in the situation you were? And it's a friend, like if it was a friend that you hold like very close and dear, and then like, you know, you want the best for them, like would you want to see your friend going through that? Or what would you tell your friend? Like, tell that to yourself.
I would not want to see any of my friends going through it, and I think the only thing I would try to remind them is that they are so loved by other people that aren't this person that they want love from so bad. And I think one can always love themselves better. And that's something that I told my friend, and that we talked about, and I was like, all the things that you wanted him to do for you, you can do for yourself. All those pictures you wanted him to take of you, all the stuff that you want him to post, like all these flowers that you want him to buy you, like just do it yourself, dude. Love yourself. Be your biggest fan. And I think that's kind of where I would always I would help me stay grounded, because I would be surrounded by so many people, and they would always remind me how much they love me. And I don't know if it's because they knew I was going through it, but they would always be like, oh, like, you're so funny, like, you're so great to be around. And I think that's something you have to remind people sometimes. Like, just remember that this person doesn't love you, but you have a billion other people that adore you. And, like, you are the light of their life. And just because you aren't the light of theirs doesn't mean you're not a light in general.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Very similar. I think if you still can't get out of that relationship, and you're, like, at least start working on yourself. Do things for yourself. Go out by yourself.
Dude, eat an edible and go to IKEA.
Eat an edible in general. But
also go to IKEA and get yourself a hot dog.
Yeah, get a hobby going. Like you by yourself
Stay
are gonna
Literally
start
just
to
go
create
sit
that.
in the sun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I love
Work
doing.
on that right now. Just work on yourself. You're gonna get there. You know you're there. Acknowledge it. Like acknowledge all those feelings, because I feel like we all the time suppress our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just it'll happen. The more you love yourself, you're not gonna put yourself in that situation.
Ever again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was telling my mom.
And
I
you
was
might
like,
a little bit fall. I
yeah,
remember I told you
yeah.
you might fall just a little bit, but you're like, you know what? This is flags. I'm not colorblind anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Go get those vision correcting
We were
glasses.
colorblind before, but not anymore. Yeah.
¿Y tú, Nancy?
What about you?
I mean, I was like,
She's like, I thought of the question that I didn't think I would have to answer.
like, what would I say to that person? That's
What was it that you wanted to tell me that you just
or
never
tell
told me?
yourself. What would you have told yourself? Like you, Nancy, right now.
Bitch, he don't love you. He's using you.
Yeah.
He's
Tough
like,
love.
tough love. Like, honestly, I needed a lot of tough. I don't know if I needed tough love because, I mean, it's like, it's not normal to cry yourself to sleep while the person next to you is snoring their ass off.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason you're crying is because of them. Like, it's not normal to be told, you know, like, you're not good enough and you need to do better for me. It's like, no, do better for yourself. I think that's what I need to do. And I did. I don't know. I just...
No, that's really good.
I think I just want to, you know, keep in mind that, like, people that are in those toxic relationships, it's really hard to get to them because they're just seeing, no, they're like, oh, no, it's like me and him against the world. It's me and her against the world, you know, or it's them and I, whatever. But I think more just, like, it's, like, self-reflection, like, just really, is that really what you want? Are you really happy there? Are you really getting and receiving the love that you're giving this person? Because if they're, why be with someone if they're just putting in the bare minimum or even less than that? If somebody wants to be with you, they would put their all in, and somebody will, and it might not be today and it might not be tomorrow, but it will happen eventually. And it might not be someone else, it might just be you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was telling my mom.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like a self-love journey.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's what I would like to say.
Give yourself the world.
Yes.
Look at your
And
relationship.
don't watch novelas. Just kidding.
I stopped.
I still like one novela going on.
I stopped because it's an hour for 5 days a week for like 3 to 4 months, and that's
Watch
like
it on TikTok. It's 3 minutes. They just
No.
give you the summary. No, but I know you don't like novelas. See, I like novelas.
I just
so.
recently suggested my coworker to watch Novelas so she can practice Spanish.
I like Casa de Flores. Does that count as a novela?
No, that's a series.
Oh, okay. Me and Annie are gonna start watching it again.
Yeah.
I want to watch it. I haven't watched it, so I want to watch from the beginning.
Paulina's my favorite.
I love her, even though I've never watched it.
Okay, guys. But that was a really good one.
If you guys want to share some stories, and if you guys are okay with us sharing them, you can message us.
Yeah.
And
Find
if
us-
you're in a toxic relationship, just know that we love you and we're sending you all of the love.
And
because
if you need to talk, we'll be
yeah,
there. You can find
we're not
us.
going to judge you.
You can
Yes.
find us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
Yes.
Under Y Que Va a Decir La Gente. And we will put all of the handles and links on our bio. Not our bio, our
show notes.
episode show notes.
Yes. Thank you, guys. See you next one.